Excuse me. Okay, fire away.
Somebody's got a camera speaker up.
What do you think of Northern Colorado's talent?
Well, I think it's, obviously, I think it's pretty good. It's hard to tell a lot considering they haven't played an exhibition game, but we got some scrimmages, type work where we've been able to evaluate some, and they return, multiple starters and are well coached, well drilled. That's very evident. So I think it'll be a good first game, but I also think it'll be a hard game because we don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I always feel that way because I think everybody knows what we'll do for the most part, but certainly we don't know what they'll throw at us. That'll be different from what we've seen, and certainly maybe something that we haven't worked against at all.
So does this group feel more ahead of things compared to last year's or teams of the past, just because you are a little bit better?
I think Ruston, we should, and the one thing that gives me a little bit of an idea that if we're going to do things that we've done in the past, it doesn't take them long to pick up on different things. Like we haven't put in a lot of sets or anything like that, but we put in several here in the last week, and it seems like to me the veteran guys pick that stuff up quicker. Obviously, because they've done it before. So I think that's a positive, but we haven't done near enough situational work at all. And no matter how much of a veteran team you have, you always want to, go over situations or, our so-called 2-minute drill or whatever it is that football uses on a daily basis, special situations. And we haven't. I don't know if any teams had the time to do it the way they want to do it, but certainly that's the one area I feel like that we're behind in.
Where do you spend your time instead?
Meat and potatoes. Transition defense, half-court offense, whether it be against the different types of zones, our half-court defense, how to play defense and offense in the last 10 seconds of the shot clock, how to get it in certain situations, but not as much of a situation, that you would say, okay, 2 seconds left, side out of bounds. There's all kinds of things that we'll put in, but we haven't put in everything. You know what I mean? Or real short clock plays that are unique. That's fine if you have a timeout that you can definitely address, but without the timeout, you may not be as prepared. So there's a lot of things like that we haven't got in yet.
Do you think the freshmen are beyond nerves since
No.
they've had 2 practice games, or will they be?
Will they be nervous? Yeah. But I think Perry will be nervous. I think Frank will be nervous. I think they should be a little nervous. So even though the exhibition games have been good, we were exposed in the first exhibition game on a lot of things, and the second one we were a little bit better. But this will be a whole different ball game starting Friday, and certainly a totally different feel come Tuesday.
Does how you prepare for this game change? Is it any different, or is it just you're preparing the same way in the exhibition games you are for this game?
No. Exhibition games, there was no preparation. That's not being negative. We didn't prepare on how to guard actions. We didn't prepare on how to do anything other than just what we wanted to do that particular game, and we didn't show anything really to warrant preparing for it. Like in the last exhibition game, I wanted to see how we could listen during timeout. So it may have looked like, even though it wasn't great, it looked like we ran some plays. We didn't do one thing that we do. I was just drawing some stuff up at timeouts just to say, hey, can we go execute, just to see if we can listen. So, and even though, whether it worked or didn't work, that was almost irrelevant, just being able to carry out assignments and listen, and freshmen doing that. And we didn't always do it right. So that would be the kind of stuff that I think once you get into the season, I don't think you're really doing that kind of stuff. You're probably locked in on just having a great possession and giving your team the best chance to win.
behind Perry, where are you at with your front court guys right now?
Well, I mean, based on how things went the other night, I would think right now, unless something changes, to start Jamari next to Perry. I think that Landon and Hunter and Jamari and Carlton all have shown signs of being really good in the last couple of weeks. Carlton, the first exhibition game, may have been our best performer. Wasn't as good in the second one. Hunter was really good in the first one, wasn't quite as good as the second one. Landon was better in the second one than he was the first one. But I thought Jamari played well in both of them. So it's whether, just trying to kind of feel it out right now. But that's probably the direction we'll go. Going into practice today.
Do you think Green will be healthy this year?
Well, I mean, I hope he's healthy this year. He was fine yesterday. So, he was fine Tuesday at shoot-around and then couldn't go, and then was fine Wednesday practicing. So even though we didn't hardly do much at all yesterday. But so, I mean, it's going to be one of those things that our doctors and trainers tell us, it's going to take a year for him to be probably 100%, even though there's not anything structural. He'll experience tightness and soreness and that kind of stuff. But I anticipate him being fine.
Through the first two exhibition games that you guys just wrapped up, how would you assess how your team handles some of the new rule changes, specifically with fouling?
I thought actually better than I thought we would. There's certain emphasis. Like we've always been a bad screening team from a legal standpoint. But I'm not sure there's a good screening team in America from a legal standpoint. Used to be, if there's not an unbelievable major advantage or an obvious moving type situation, then teams were able to get by with illegal screening. So to me, that's one that we have to emphasize. You got to come to a jump stop every single screen, regardless of what it is. You got to come to a jump stop, which would prove that you're not moving if you're able to do that. And then that would be an emphasis on offense, and from a defensive standpoint, you've got to, obviously play your man before he catches it, and then as soon as he puts it down, the tendency is to one wide hand and jam him with the other arm. That's how we've done it for years. That's how everybody's taught it. That's how everybody plays. And now, as soon as he puts it down, both hands have to be wide. So there's some differences, but I think we've actually done a decent job. I was surprised. I mean, there were obviously fouls called, and regardless of who gets the benefit of what call, that's not, to me, really important in our exhibition games. But the number of fouls called, and I thought it would be closer to 30 both halves, 25 at least, 50 total. I think is well under that. So I think that players are getting it, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be 50 fouls called on Friday or 60 on Tuesday. But certainly I think our players are at least buying into this is how we have to play. It's becoming more of a habit.
Day before the season starts, any lingering concerns for your guys? What's the biggest thing in your mind right now?
I would say from my standpoint is it's just, you're always concerned, are you prepared? Can somebody do something to you that you're not prepared for? And the answer is yes. That can obviously happen. But from my standpoint, we're going to try, this is who we are, this is how we're going to play. We're not going to do something to try to really screw somebody up early in the season if that's not who we are. I think it sends a bad message. This is who we are, but for this game, let's play this way because it'll work better. I mean, I think that sends a bad message to your guys. Well, if it works better, why aren't we doing that all the time? So I think there's a certain thing that I think that a lot of coaches feel like, well, we have an advantage early on, but a lot of coaches feel like, well, sometimes with that advantage, it doesn't really help us in the long term of defining what we want to be. So, like we could be a better zone team right now than we have been, without question, because we obviously don't slide as well in some positions that we'd hope to. But, okay, so let's bail them out and play zone until we get better, man. Well, that sounds good in theory and smart and all that stuff, but it isn't like college football where if you lose a game early, it's over. It's one of those things you just want to continually get better throughout the deal. And I wouldn't want to send our guys a message saying that, hey, we can always go play zone if we're not any good at man, because that's not who we are. That's not what I want our identity to be.
Bill, obviously we haven't seen Shaq play in a game yet, but how's he been in practice? Has he been pretty good?
He was actually, yeah, he has been pretty good. And who knows if he will. I'm confident that we will, that you will, but that obviously hasn't been the consensus with, everybody, making decisions, at least to this point. Because it's still ongoing. But yeah, he's a defensive presence. He's a runner, jumper, active guy, and his offense, his shooting has improved tremendously. But he's very raw. I mean, he's very raw. So he's one of those guys that every outing that he misses will impact him more than what it would if somebody had been acclimated and was probably grew up playing in a situation where maybe his skill level and things like this were a little bit more advanced. So, I mean, he's raw. I mean, he's really raw. But raw is good. I mean, you can mold raw. But there's some things he can do you can't teach. But he needs repetition. So every time, every day that he's out, it obviously is a negative because he needs the repetition. Far more than Landon would, let's say, because Landon's already got repetition. So yeah, it's a big loss not having him.
How is he handling this? I mean, does he come to you with questions, or do you?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day he asks. Every night. I hope it's before he goes to bed because it's around 10 o'clock or 10:30. So it's certainly right when I'm going. But he texts me, Coach, what's up? What are you doing today? Every morning, Coach, what's up? And that's his way of saying, I'm not going to ask about the situation, but hopefully I'll give him some information. And I haven't had a lot to give him other than the fact that, he's been great. He hasn't. Of course, we haven't made him really available to you guys to give his opinion on things, but he's been great in that he respects what's going on. He respects people trying to help him. He's frustrated beyond measure. Because it's something that he can't. If we can't understand it, certainly he can't understand it. Because all he knows is I grew up in Mali and I left my family to come over here to live out a dream, and I went to where it was a good school, and now they're saying I can't play because of the school I went to. It's hard for us to understand that, but it's even harder for him if you stop and think about it. You mean I left my family for 3.5 years, and it was too expensive even for them to call. So I lost contact with them in a lot of ways because we couldn't afford the phone calls. To come over here to live out a dream, and I can't do it. So even that's frustrating to him. Now, even from a bigger picture than that, there's obviously been a lot of good things that's happened to him since he's been here, and of course he's benefited our university by being here, and I think that we've benefited him by being here. So as far as us, it's been good collectively for both parties. But it's one that he I mean, when he'll just look at you and say, I don't understand. I don't understand, and I think he's got some. He hasn't been involved with the legal fights or anything like that, but I think he's got some pretty legitimate concerns.
You said you guys have benefited from him. How has the team benefited from him?
We benefited from him by, first of all, he changes practice every day because he tries so hard. I mean, if other guys don't try, they can't keep up from an effort standpoint. He's one of the best role models we've had because nobody since I've been here in 13 years tries harder academically than he does. Nobody. Scooter would tell you the same thing, and so our guys see that. Our guys see, well, he's not even playing, and he's everywhere 20 minutes early. He's everywhere 30 minutes early. Nobody tries hard in the weight room. So he's been a leader for us without question. We benefited by his presence because he's been so good for others to see what real work is and what trying really is. Because we all say we try, and granted, our guys do try. They try hard. But he's actually taken it to a whole different level of trying. And so we benefited from him being here without question. And of course, he's benefited from all the the resources that we've had to give him once he's been here. Whether it be through strength and conditioning, whether it be through ball, whether it be through academics, or whatever, because he's a guy that wants to absorb. He's like a sponge. He wants to absorb as much as possible. Can you imagine if I mean, this is shallow thinking probably, but let's say you're going to go travel abroad for a semester in school. Well, you're going to go to Paris or wherever you're going to go travel abroad and sit in your room every night and not do anything and not actually go see the sights and everything like that? I mean, is that how you would do it if you're traveling abroad, or would you want to say, hey, I got an opportunity to go do this. I need to make the most of every day and try to soak up as much. Well, that's the attitude he has here at Kansas. I want to soak up as much of this as I possibly can. So I think it's been very good both ways.
Do you think talks could escalate and speed up now that the attorney said it was a witch hunt?
You know what? I'm not going to get into what his guardian's representation says, but I will tell you this: I'll find it very interesting to wake up and read it on a daily basis, because everybody's got without going into any detail at all, because I don't know the detail what he and his attorney talked to. That's attorney-client privilege. I don't understand that, but or I can understand what they talk about doesn't necessarily affect us in some ways, because he's no longer fighting for KU. He's fighting for his client. And so that's a totally different thing. I mean, we've tried to do it from KU standpoint, and which we have, and fight for our university and the kid. Now it's something totally different. He's been retained to fight for individuals, not our institution. So, I'll find it very interesting what is said and what comes up, because I guess it can affect us, but more importantly, he's not hired to represent KU's point of view. He's hired to represent the client's point of view, and so I think it is going to be interesting to read these things moving forward.
Do you have any concerns about working with the rest of the team about dealing with the potential of a disappointing ruling?
No. I think our guys are we got young guys, and I mean we got veteran guys, even though they're all young, but we got veteran guys, and kids don't look at it quite the same way. To Shaq or to any individual that's going through it, it's the world to them. To all the other individuals, yeah, we really want that for him, but still, they're kind of focused on what's going on with them as much as anything else. So I don't think it'll be a terribly negative distraction at all. At least I hope it won't. But I do know it would be a big positive boost. But it wouldn't be a positive boost because of what he could do for us. That's not it. It'd be a positive boost. It'd be what this would do for an individual. It's not about whether Shaq makes us better. And I know people think I'm nuts. It's not about that. I mean, yeah, would he? Yeah, sure he would. And over time, but that's great. But what it's about is about an individual, because the way that we look at this, if it was your son or daughter and they were going to be in any situation or whatever it is, or let's say he's denied admittance to a college, or wrongly or controversially denied an opportunity for some reason. Well, to that entity that deals with 1,000 applicants, it may not seem like it's quite as big a deal. But to that family, it's a huge deal. I mean, that totally affects a lot of different things. And you start thinking about dreams and goals and visions and sacrifices that are made. So this would be good for KU, but it wouldn't be near as good for us as it would be for him. Because, we're going to move on. Life goes on. We're going to move on. But for him, life will move on if it doesn't come out right, at least the way that we think it should. Life will move on, but it's not the same way. It's not the same way. When something bad or something harmful happens to an individual, it affects the families a lot more than it affects people in masses that read the story and say, yeah, that's too bad. And then they move on to the next day of life. And certainly, I think in this particular situation, we got to look at it like that as a parent or like somebody that is really trying hard and done everything that they've been asked to do, and then be denied the opportunity to live out a dream. So I think it'll be bigger for Shaq than it will be for us, even though it would be great for both.
Understanding you know you can't do much about it, the final ruling anyway. You get tired of this? I mean, you've had this happen.
Yeah, you know what? This is true, and this is where I'll basically defend the NCAA on this. We have had it happen. We had a young man, Braden Anderson, that we signed that was denied because of a Big 12 rule. He could, but now the kid's graduating in law school. So he's in law school now. But at that time, is he qualified because he went to a bad high school? Rules and policies, that's fine. Jamari, believe it or not, by rules should not have been eligible. Qualifying score, first take on the SAT, qualifying grades, made it within the minimum required by a landslide. He was a good high school student, but Jamari was homeless for a year. So by rule, the year that you start high school, you have 8 semesters to complete it. Well, if he's homeless for a year, he only had 6 semesters to complete it. And so he needed the other 2 semesters. Didn't make it. Ben went through a similar case where the reality of it is, after NCAA doing their due diligence, they were right. They made the right call. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So hey, we went through it a long time with the Twins. And, I mean, it was one of those deals with the Twins. I mean, it was guilty till you prove that everything was done. And when it was proven everything was done, then it was an immediate, oh, you're eligible, no problem. So we've experienced good results. We've experienced bad results on this. But this one doesn't fall into those criteria, in my opinion. But you got to have rules, you got to have policy. We understand that, and the whole thing is, if you come to the conclusion after reviewing everything that this is the way it's got to be, then we'll fight it. But that's the way it's. We understand that. It's just frustrating when maybe all the things that needed to be done haven't been done to maybe have a true evaluation of the situation because of policies. That's what's frustrating. Nobody's done there's no bad people. Nobody's done anything wrong by trying to say we're out to get somebody. Nobody believes that. But still, it needs to be addressed, though.
Can I ask you, when you went into the Big Ten, did Izzo help you, I mean,
in what way?
You probably respected him because of his defense and stuff.
When we went to the Big Ten, that was when Michigan State was. I mean, they went to 3 straight Final Fours when we were there. So they won the national championship the year before we got there. We had played them at Tulsa the year before that when Mateen was a sophomore, and they went to the Final Four. And then the year that we were in the Big Ten together, we tied for the championship, and we were both 1 seeds. And then we get beat in the Elite Eight, and he advances to go to the Final Four to play the team that beat us, Arizona. So Tom and I have known each other a while. He's a great guy. He's a great coach. His postseason success is, with the exception of Coach K, has almost been unmatched. Without question. He's terrific, and he'll have his guys chomping at the bit to play, just like our guys will be chomping at the bit to play.
You like playing them so often?
I don't dislike it because I think it's great preparation for later on. Last year when we played them, they weren't as good, obviously, early, and we weren't very good yet, and so it wasn't. I remember we shook hands after the game. He said, "Well, you won, but you're probably just as mad as I am." That was basically his reply. And if they'd have won, I'd said, "Hey, good win, but hey, you'll like watching that tape too." But he's a very, very honest guy, and will definitely say what he feels as opposed to coach speak all the time.
I think I read he was the first one to call you when you got the Illinois job. Is that right?
I can't remember. But he always told me when I took the Illinois job that he thought I had one of the best jobs. I mean, he thought that was a job that had a chance to be great, and he was right. I mean, it's obviously a fantastic job.
You spent most of your time in the Big 8 and then was in Oklahoma. Did you know anything about Michigan stayed in that program when you went to the Big Ten?
Well, we played them when I was at Tulsa. Yeah, we played them in Hawaii. And I think they beat us by about 10. I mean, we tried hard. I was so impressed, and Norm would remember this, but we play the game, and it's halftime, and they don't guard an action right at the end of the half. Let's say they're switching ball screens and one guy doesn't switch, or they're trapping a ball screen and one guy doesn't trap it, late clock, and they score. And I walked in the locker room, and Mateen Cleaves was mounting everybody on their team. I mean, like, hey, like, you want some, come and get it type deal to everybody on their team. Over 2 points in a game in which they were up double figures. And I thought, hey, these guys are pretty good, because it meant something to them, not just to win, but it meant something to them to do it right. And that's been and that's all a reflection of Coach Izzo.
Anything else?
Hi guys, thank you.